What is up, YouTube? And today we have another one of my scuffed Epic 7 tier lists for you guys. And today we're actually going to be talking about RGB or red, green, blue 5-star PvP units. And RGB basically means red, green, blue, fire, earth, and ice. So non-moonlight, non-light and dark characters in this game. We're obviously only going to be talking about the 5-star characters as listed at the top, and we're also talking about PvP only. Now keep in mind, these are just my own opinions. You are allowed to disagree. This is just what I think for the tier list for PvP characters on a general scale, right? This is not catered towards Guild Wars, World Arena, or Arena offense or defense. It's going to encompass all of that, and also kind of factor in how easy they are to build. Now, these do include limited and collab units, so some of these characters you will not be able to get right now from the current banner, but they will rotate in with the collaboration reruns and also the limited banner reruns. And if you look at the left here, we have 6 different tiers. S tier, these are going to be the best units. A tier, second best units, a little bit below the S tier characters, obviously. We have the B tier units. These are still usable, but not, the best. They usually will have some special uses or some characters that can replace them, whether they be like ML 5 stars or stuff like that. And then we have the niche or counter units. These units you're going to pick into certain situations only, but if you do pick them in those situations, they are very, very good. Then we have the Cleave tier. These are for you speed demons out there who like to take turn 1 and win very quickly. And we also have the needs buff tier or PvE tier. Now, there may be 1 or 2 units in this needs buff or PvE tier that you use. I personally don't find them that great, but if you do have some niche usages or a character here that you like using a lot, let me know. For example, I actually put one here that a lot of people do use, and that is going to be Melissa here. Melissa is actually a very good niche character into some stealth units, so we're going to put her in the niche pick here. But yeah, let's get started. So S tier characters, we'll talk about all of these, and just to make it easier for you guys, I will show you guys the name now that you guys saw the full tier list. So we have the newest limited character, Afternoon Soak Flan. Yes, she has 100% evasion, very powerful, does a ton of damage. She is quite hard to build because you need her on lifesteal, but she's very tanky. She has a ton of AoE damage. She has dual attacks on her S1, and there are ways to counter her, like things that can ignore evasion and stuff like that, but she's a very safe pick into offense arena teams for like auto teams, and also good in defense. Next, we have Mort. Completely shuts down counterattacks. Not much else to be said. Counterattacks are a very, very big part of Epic 7. It gives you a chance to win through RNG, and he kind of prevents that and does a ton of damage, and his fear is extremely strong as well. Young Senya, honestly, she's only up here because Mort is so strong. She requires a really good health scaling Earth Bruiser, and wow, would you look at that? Mort is meta right now. It's because of that she's shot up in the rankings. She's very good into the very meta Harsetti. Honestly, I might be rating her a bit highly, but currently in Arena, if you can just pick Mort and Senya together against a lot of teams, and you'll win if they haven't updated their Arena teams. Janua kind of got pushed down in the tier list, but still very powerful, right? He's a very strong character that has a ton of damage potential. He is more damage than Afternoon Soak Flan, a lot more burst, but he's way more vulnerable. So because of that, he can't be as good as her. I think Afternoon Soak Flan is way more consistent, but he's still a pretty good character overall. Laya, one of the best support characters in the game. Only weakness is she gets countered by anything that counters dual attacks or anything that counters her with like injury. So injury characters will really do well against her, so she has fallen down. She used to be the best by far, but she's still now in the bottom of S tier. Next, we have the A tier characters. So these characters are still pretty decent, just not going to be as picked as often. Noggle, very good opener. Elena's very good against AoE attackers and stuff like that. Nicholas, very good against health scaling bruisers. Yulha, Albedo, and Crow, all very good in like Arena or Guild Wars offense and defense. Albedo is more suited for defense, Crow and Yulha for offense because they can take a lot of damage, bait characters because opposite elements will actually focus them, right? So because of that, they can use their S very well. Ocean Breeze Luca is still a decent defense team character, although she gets countered by some things that can stop her focus energy regen or something like that. What is it called? Fighting Spirit? No, it's focus, right? So ML Politis will do good against her. Solitary will do good, but in general, a very good cleanser. Destina, always a solid Soul Weaver with the Revive, which is very powerful. And Ikarina, one of the best anti-cleave units, who still is very powerful on defense teams to this day. And Lua, kind of a slightly worse version than Noggle, but still decent if you can pick her into slow teams. Next, we have B tier characters. These characters are a little bit more harder to use, but they're still very powerful, right? Zahhak, very good into evasion characters. Rimuru, good against Cleave and against just any ice unit. Alencia pairs very well with young Senya if you don't have Mort. Shu is a good RNG character, usually only picked against fire. Arya is very good for arena offense. Senya and Nilius you'll see paired together sometimes for the attack damage Cleave. Ravi is just an all-around beast. She can be slotted into a lot of early game PvP teams and she's very powerful. Landy, I still have a soft spot for her, but if you put her on a counter set build, very tanky with Bloodstone, she's pretty good. Violet is an evasion unit. Yeah, he probably isn't that great anymore, but I'm still going to put him up here because if he dodges all the time, he's very annoying. Diane is a very solid Soul Weaver. I think that is underrated with an attack buff and a lot of cycling for your team. And Seaside Bologna is actually pretty decent if you have her on crazy gear against AoE teams, or if you put her on injury set, she's amazing as well if you have her on Bloodstone too. So niche your counter picks are over here. I'll just talk very briefly about where you want to pick them. Rwana into counterattack, dual attacks, extra attacks a lot. Shaltir's into evasion. Lethe into health scaling bruisers. She has a ton of injury. Edward into a lot of debuffs. Politis into non-attack skill characters such as like Conquerlius, ML Politis and stuff like that. Teiyu is mostly going to be used against Conquerlius as well and like Lua and stuff like that. Elvira is very good against fighting spirit characters. She shuts that down completely and stops their generation. Schneel good against Death Dealer Ray. Only really good against Death Dealer Ray, but Death Dealer Ray without Schneel in the game would still be giga broken, so he kind of keeps him in check. Winter good against non-attack skill. Milim also good against evasion, similar to Shaltir, just a little bit worse. Celine good against non-attack characters as well, that can proc her S2. Kairon's good against Cleave. Biblis is like Rwana, but a little bit worse. Melissa good against like stealth units and characters you want to snipe with her curse. Runka good against barrier, and Abigail is good if you have a very strong backline tanky bruiser that you want to protect. And then we have the Cleave tier. I'm not too knowledgeable about Cleave, but there's a ton of ways you can mix and match these characters to make them work with like some other ML 5 stars. So you can see them listed here and how good they can actually be. For example, like Ran and Summertime Assyria work very well together. Fumir with like other elemental characters are very good. Blooming Litica pairs very well with like a Zeo. Green Villager is very good with his imprint, and so on and so forth. There's a ton of ways to mix and match. Jacko is just good with any debuffer, right? So Cleave characters, they're all very good in their own right, but you just have to find the perfect combination because some synergize well with each other and others you don't really want to bring with each other. But if you find that perfect combination, you'll find that you're beating a lot of teams. Next, we have needs buff for PvE. Disclaimer, I haven't tried out Fene too much because she just came out. I have been trying her a bit, but I think she still needs more testing in my opinion with the different builds. Also, I just have her on my Rift build, so I don't really have time to test her. But in PvP, she's a monster, but in PvP, still needs a little bit more testing, and I think she has potential to be good. But the other characters here, I think, do need some sort of buff. And like I mentioned, if you think a character here can be used, for example, Roy Mustang as a damage dealer, yes, you can say that, or Rem as a counter to Cleave. Let me know in the comments down below because I'm very curious. But yeah, this is my tier list for Epic 7 RGB 5 stars for PvP. I'll be trying to release more tier lists in the future because I know you guys love these, and I think there's so many characters in the game that it's hard to keep track of who's good. But hopefully you can reference my tier list and have some sort of idea of what can be good and what can be bad in this meta. Thank you for watching, guys, and I'll see you guys next video.